Meet Joe Coulombe. In Pasadena in 1967, he opened a grocery store. You may have heard of it, Trader Joe's. They set out initially by claiming to offer the world's largest assortment of alcohol. Coulombe's strategy was to appeal to a growing market of well-educated, health-conscious consumers. Think teachers, journalists, musicians. To do this, and to make Trader Joe's stand out, he experimented with private label. Sir Isaac Newton's, for example. He wanted to give customers more product knowledge than they could get at other stores. And obviously, Coulombe's strategy was a hit. A few decades later, and Trader Joe's probably has the most loyal fan base out of any grocery store. An active subreddit, dedicated websites, and overall just a feeling of community, cleanliness, and health that you can't really put a finger on. Go online and TJ shoppers say they love it for cheap prices, unique selections, and high quality food. And I'm bought into the craze too. My mom and I shop at our local store so much that the employees there know us by name. But behind this blind trust of everything with a Trader Joe's label on it, there is a deeper and darker health implication. Stick with me over the next few minutes and let me explain my research that shows how Trader Joe's can actually be more dangerous than your average supermarket. It just might change how you shop. Hi, I'm Jamie and welcome to Intent Inc. This channel is all about investigating topics that affect us every day in order to better inform our actions and live with more intent. Shopping trip right now, one stop at Jewel Osco, which is a pretty standard grocery store chain, and the other one at Trader Joe's. Compare like some of their products, packaging, and kind of see what Trader Joe's does different that makes it have this mystique about it. Pretty quickly, I knew I wanted to focus my field research on the freezer aisle. A Trader Joe's staple is frozen meals. As someone who quite frankly is scared of frozen meals from other brands, something about Trader Joe's are different. They seem healthier, more trustworthy and fresh. Even though behind the Trader Joe's label, logically I know that it's all the same, but why is this and what are the consequences? While I was shopping in analysis mode instead of what am I gonna eat for dinner mode or I really don't need to buy this entire dessert section mode, something dawned on me. Trader Joe's is not positioning itself to compete against normal grocery stores. You couldn't buy everything you need there. They're not even trying to compete against restaurants, it seems like. So what's left? They're competing against your kitchen. They want you to substitute your home cooking with their pre-prepared frozen processed meals. Think this is a random claim? Just look at the makeup of the store. A limited produce section, which even its most loyal fans say is the weak point of the store, surrounded by processed cereals, instant coffee, salad kits, and desserts. Not many options for true home cooking. You can also point to the packaging itself. They're not really trying to make their frozen meals seem as sexy as possible like the ones at Jewel do. TJ's looks achievable, like something you could actually make at home. And sure, this is a great business strategy. Make customers feel semi-productive cooking a frozen meal while saving time and effort. Brand yourself into an unwavering image of health so that customers ignore the sodium, fat, and actual nutritional value or lack thereof in what they eat. But it goes a lot deeper than this, which I'll explain after this next concept. If Americans for the first time are drinking more bottled water than soda, restaurants are offering healthier menu items, and sales of fast food, sugary drinks, and pizzas are all declining, then why are US obesity rates continuing to soar? Predicted to reach 50% of adults by 2030. This is the question Pierre Chandon and Brian Wansing sought to answer in their 2007 research paper when they coined the term health halo effect. They ran a series of experiments and found that when customers perceived a fast food meal to be healthy, they underestimated its calorie count and actually ended up over-consuming because they felt they had room to add extra side dishes. For example, I guess back in 2007, people thought Subway was a healthy fast food chain. Chandon and Wansink gave each study participant a coupon either for a free McDonald's meal or a free Subway's meal. Since customers thought Subway was healthy beforehand, they added on extra drinks and cookies to their meal, resulting in an average 1,011 calories, while they estimated it was only 487. Meanwhile, since customers already had this image of McDonald's being an unhealthy brand, they were less likely to add on extra sides, resulting in an average meal of 648 calories, while they estimated a more accurate 600. McDonald's, the unhealthy option, since consumers were aware, actually ended up consuming 35% fewer calories. This adds up. The health halo effect extends to pretty much all of the food we eat. We place so much trust in branding that tells us food is healthy, so we buy those products and eat larger servings while thinking that there will be fewer consequences, just because of emotional marketing factors. These foods are not necessarily actually more healthy though. In fact, in a survey done of 354 packaged foods which marketed themselves to be better for you alternatives and targeted to children, 65% were high in fat, sugar, and sodium. Not to mention there are 10 mega corporations which pretty much control what we eat. And these companies are buying brands which the public already perceives to be healthy in order to capitalize on this consumer trend towards health consciousness. Tate's Bake Shop is owned by the same company as Chips Ahoy, and so are RX Bar and Pop-Tarts. So when consumers just trust food information based on marketing without looking into the actual nutritional content themselves, that's where we fall into a trap. Let's get back to Trader Joe's, specifically their frozen meals. The nuance of my argument relies on the observation that I hinted at before. Trader Joe's positions their products as a substitute for home cooking. Healthy, whole ingredients, just in less time. Compare this to other frozen food brands. Amy's Enchiladas, for instance, are clearly marketing themselves to be restaurant quality, even alluding to it on the packaging. You know no frozen food is ever going to look like this. This is like restaurant quality stuff. These frozen meals are a replacement for restaurants. Trader Joe's freezer aisle takes a more modest approach. Nothing fancy about this burrito bowl. This cod literally probably does look like this. Even more explicit are the product descriptions on their website. Making soup from scratch is a lovely romantic notion, in theory. If, like us, you don't always have the time, we have some homey, fully cooked and ready to heat soups that will warm you inside and out. Don't cook yourself, eat our soup. It's practically the same. Just ignore the 60 grams of sugar per container and the 120% of your daily sodium. Or these artichoke timbales. They gloriously detail the cooking process of their Italian supplier and encourage them as a way to serve vegetables at the dinner table. The nutrition facts tell a different story. A quarter of your daily sodium in one little timbale. And honestly, besides the fiber, the rest of the label isn't exactly compelling. Steam a head of broccoli for a lot less than this $5 price tag. Your heart will thank you. With this shift in perspective, you can see why Trader Joe's frozen meals seem to be more trustworthy. Imagine the baseline comparison, either home cooking or restaurants. Home cooking already has that reputation of natural, whole ingredients, while restaurants, consumers are already aware that they're not exactly healthy. So just by virtue of TJ's positioning themselves near home cooking instead of restaurants like their competitors, there's a clear discrepancy in perceived healthiness from the consumer. When viewed through the context of the health halo effect, Trader Joe's being a substitute for home cooking, even subconsciously, may be more damaging for overall consumer health than it at first seems. Trader Joe's is pretty secretive about the manufacturers that they use to supply the food that goes behind their private label, but over the years, mostly through product recall announcements, people have been able to sniff out who some of these companies are. One of them is ConAgra, the same company who processes Marie calendars. So it's largely just branding and emotional marketing plays that make Trader Joe's seem like a better alternative to other frozen meals, comparable to home cooking rather than restaurants. With summer drawing near, preparing a labor-intensive meal may be the furthest thing from your mind. But what if you could enjoy slow-cooked beef in a flavorful, savory broth without rolling up your sleeves? Just ignore the heaps of fat, cholesterol, and sodium. At least the protein content is redeeming. I don't want to bore you guys with too many nutrition label comparisons, so if you're interested in this kind of thing, just pause the video and I'll throw up a few more of similar products. Basically, the Trader Joe's products have the same or worse nutritional value as these other brands. There is not a clear enough advantage to warrant these frozen meals being placed on this pedestal as a replacement for the health and freshness of home cooking. And positioning it in this way is harmful to our understanding of health. The health halo effect. Shoppers, through strong branding and customer loyalty, perceive Trader Joe's meals to be healthy alternatives. They're basically the equivalent of making it yourself, the narrative goes. just with so much less time involved. So what's the downside of eating it? It must be healthy, right? While I'm here, better get a main course, vegetable side dish, and maybe even a dessert because I feel so good about the health and natural ingredients I'm cooking for dinner. The reality is, Americans as a whole are uneducated on nutrition. A recent poll by the New York Times found that 71% of Americans, for example, thought granola bars were healthy, while only 28% of nutritionists said the same. Branding. The more loyalty and trust customers have in a brand, the more we rely on what they advertise to us as being the truth. If Trader Joe's, my favorite grocery store, says this beef is the equivalent of home cooking, then it must be true. And you can see where this becomes a self-perpetuating cycle. Since Trader Joe's meals are basically nutritionally equivalent to its competitors, but customers perceive them to be healthier and even substitutable for home cooking, they're kept in the dark. It's convenient for them to believe in the health of Trader Joe's and spend less time preparing dinner. However, when we're under the illusion of eating healthy, we may in turn overconsume in other areas because we think that we can nutritionally afford to. At least when we eat these unhealthy brands, we're aware of it and can adjust the rest of our diet accordingly. But when we genuinely don't know any better, that's where the bulk of our poor dietary choices comes from, according to the health halo effect. 75% of Americans claim they have a healthy diet, and yet the CDC says only 10% of us eat enough vegetables every day. Home cooking will, the vast majority of times, beat out any processed food in terms of health value. And to be clear, I'm an 18-year-old kid. I can't even imagine all the sacrifices that people who are responsible for families have to make every day just to put something on the table. I want to be clear about my argument. This video is not a problem with pre-prepared meals as a whole or with Trader Joe's as a whole. I just like to bring awareness to a gap I found between Trader Joe's intentional branding in order to gain sales and the reality of its health implications so that hopefully we can be more educated and intentional when we shop there. Trader Joe's has so many raw ingredients like these steel-cut oats that can easily replace processed foods like these oatmeal packets for the same price and just a little higher time commitment. If I have one goal for this video, it's just that we're more aware when buying pre-prepared meals, especially if it's branded as being healthy. Read the nutrition label, know that it's not a true equivalent for home cooking, and maybe consider how you could make it yourself at different time. Trader Joe's also has awesome customer service. Like seriously, I've never met a Trader Joe's employee that wasn't amazing. So you guys are doing a great job. This channel is meant to be a discussion, kind of a thought process for all of us. So if you have a different angle or you think something I said is just completely wrong, please leave a comment and I would love to talk. Subscribe for more videos just like this one on Intent Inc.